By the time the cake came out, I could already feel it happening. That subtle shift in the air. My parents love an audience. Not malicious, just amused by discomfort. Growing up, I was the good sport. The sensitive one. The one whose reactions were apparently adorable. If I flushed or stumbled over my words, it was a story for later. 35 was supposed to be different. Small gathering. Close friends. No speeches that turned into anecdotes I hadn't approved. I should have known better. Halfway through dinner, my mother tapped her glass, smiling in that way she does when she thinks she's clever. We have a surprise. The patio doors slid open. And there he was. Cameron. Polished. Relaxed. Wearing that easy grin that once convinced me to co-sign paperwork I shouldn't have touched. For a second, I couldn't hear anything. Just blood rushing in my ears. My father laughed first. We invited your ex. We thought it would be funny. Funny. The word landed squarely on my chest. Cameron gave a small wave, like we'd run into each other at a grocery store instead of at my birthday dinner. I stood up because sitting felt like shrinking. Hey, he said lightly. Long time. Months since court hearings. 3 hours since the foreclosure order finalized. I hadn't planned to say anything tonight. But as I looked at the microphone waiting for speeches, I realized something. If they wanted a performance, I could give them one. And this time, it wouldn't be the kind they expected. The microphone felt heavier than it should have. People expected gratitude. A joke back. Proof that I was still the accommodating one. I smiled, just enough to keep them leaning in. Thank you all for coming, I began. My voice was steady. Calmer than I felt. And thank you, Mom and Dad, for the surprise. My mother beamed. She thought I was playing along. I turned to Cameron. Since we're revisiting the past, I said lightly, I have a question. The air shifted. Subtle, but real. He chuckled. Sure. I held his gaze. How does it feel to know your joke just cost you your home? Silence. Not awkward. Not confused. Absolute. His smile flickered. What are you talking about? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't rush. The refinance you filed using my financial information. The one you said was harmless. The foreclosure was finalized this morning. A glass clinked somewhere in the quiet. I didn't file anything, he said quickly, but it lacked weight. Confidence. You did, I replied. And the court agreed. That was it. No dramatics. No stack of printed emails. No spectacle. Just facts. Across the table, my father's expression changed. Confusion first. Then calculation. Cameron wasn't charming anymore. He was a liability. My mother's glass lowered slowly. You never told us. You never asked. Cameron shifted. This isn't the place. No, I agreed softly. It isn't. That was the point. And I wasn't finished yet. No one rushed to fill the quiet. That was new. For years, whenever I hesitated or flushed or tried to explain myself, someone would smooth it over with a laugh. A refill. She's always been dramatic. But this time, the silence held. Cameron's posture tightened, like someone had adjusted invisible strings. He glanced at my parents, searching for backup. For the version of me they preferred, the one who softened things. He didn't find her. I think we're blowing this out of proportion, he said carefully. It was a misunderstanding. The word misunderstanding drifted across the table like smoke. It wasn't, I said. I didn't elaborate. I didn't list the forged signatures. The emails sent from my own account. The months I spent untangling my credit from his mess. The lawyer's voice explaining consequences in neutral tones. The facts existed whether I recited them or not. My father cleared his throat. Is this true? Cameron hesitated. That was enough. Something shifted in the room, not toward me, but away from him. The charm thinned. The easy grin disappeared. He looked smaller without it. I didn't think he started, then stopped. Didn't think I'd what? Notice? Fight back? Speak? My mother's voice lost its sparkle. Why didn't you tell us it was this serious? I met her eyes. Because every time I tried to be serious, it became a joke. That landed harder than anything else I'd said. Cameron stepped back first. But the night wasn't done unraveling. Cameron checked his phone like it had summoned him. I should go, he muttered, already stepping away from the table. No one stopped him. That might have been the most telling part. He didn't storm out. There was no dramatic apology, no last attempt at charm. Just a quiet retreat down the patio steps, shoulders tight, screen glowing in his hand like an escape hatch. A few guests followed soon after. Soft squeezes on my shoulder. Quick murmurs, I had no idea. The music resumed, lower than before. The cake sat half-cut, frosting sagging slightly in the warm air. The party hadn't exploded. It had deflated. My parents approached me together, moving in sync the way they always do when something needs managing. You could have handled that privately, my father said, voice controlled. I considered that. You could have asked privately why we broke up, I replied. Another silence. My mother folded her arms, not defensive, just unsettled. We thought it would lighten things. It didn't, I said. There was no triumph in my chest. No victory. Just steadiness. For once, I hadn't absorbed the discomfort so everyone else could stay comfortable. The patio lights hummed overhead. A breeze lifted the edge of the tablecloth. My mother looked at me differently now. Not amused. Not indulgent. Curious. And maybe, for the first time, uncertain. By the time the last guest left, the house felt unfamiliar. Quieter. The cake sat half-eaten on the table, candles burned down into small pools of wax. 35. Not dramatic. Not cinematic. Just different. I stepped out onto the patio alone. The night air felt cooler than it had earlier, like something had cleared. For years, I confused endurance with maturity. If I tolerated the joke, I was evolved. If I didn't react, I was strong. If I absorbed the discomfort, I was the bigger person. But endurance isn't the same as self-respect. Tonight, I hadn't yelled. I hadn't humiliated anyone. I hadn't even shared everything I could have. I just told the truth. My parents joined me a few minutes later. They stood beside me, not touching, not performing. My mother spoke first. We didn't realize. I know, I said. That was the problem. No apology followed. That would require dismantling years of we were just joking. But they didn't laugh either. And that mattered. The house Cameron lost was never about property. It was about consequences arriving on schedule. The party wasn't ruined because I spoke. It was ruined because the laughter had been standing on something fragile all along. I blew out the candles earlier without making a wish. I didn't need one. For the first time in my life, when I spoke, the room went quiet. Not because I was embarrassed, but because I refused to be. And that silence? That was the beginning of something they weren't expecting.